is News at 8.
This is a primetime news bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. My name is Israelite. Coming up in this edition, several suspects picked up in SIM fraud bust, including former president of Ghana Real Estate Developers. President Mahama reiterates sub-region's intolerance for military takeovers during stopover in Gambia. Deputy Finance Minister says Ghana should conclude a package with the International Monetary Fund by next month, a few months earlier than anticipated. Upper West Region's youngest Queen Mother vows to end rural-urban drift of the region's girls. We have more in business, sports, showbiz, and international news, all coming up in the next 60 minutes. The bulletin is available across Europe on ABN television. Do stay tuned.
News at 8 with Israel Rai.
Now, our first story, the Ghana Coalition of NGOs in Health is warning a decision by the main financial sponsor of the country's immunization program to withdraw funding could have dire implications for the country. Gavi Alliance, a public-private group which takes up 98% of the immunization bill for children under 5 years each year, says its support will cease by 2020. The coalition says government should begin to immediately save towards plugging the funding gap.
Gavi Alliance has paid virtually all of the $6 million the government of Ghana spends annually to provide vaccines and personnel for the immunization program. The contribution by the group has contributed significantly to the progress made by developing countries towards achieving the Millennium Development Goals in the area of maternal mortality. However, Gavi says it intends to stop its support because it is unsure where it could draw the additional $7.5 billion to continue to support countries like Ghana after 2020. This, the coalition of NGOs in health says, should prompt government to start making alternative funding arrangements.
Every year, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, supports the government of Ghana about 90 million Ghana cedis, or equivalent of about $6 million. To support immunization program in Ghana. Now, the 2016 to 2020 strategy of the Gavi Alliance demands that countries should begin to start planning a sustainability plan. After 5 years, they need to fund their own immunization program in Ghana. Currently, Gavi is supporting the government of Ghana 98% of the total cost of the vaccination every year in Ghana.
Immediately, the coalition, however, adds that it will continue to engage government to ensure the immunization program does not suffer after 2020 because of the funding challenge.
Now, the elders and people of Apolonia community under the Bunkatamanso Assembly here in the Greater Accra region are up in arms against the regional minister, who they accuse of interfering in an ongoing chieftaincy dispute in the area. They are demanding the removal of Ni Laye Afote Agbo as regional minister, who they also accuse of selling off their lands.
The elders and people of Appolonia say the chieftaincy disputes in the area began shortly after the death of their former chief, when some persons purporting to be kingmakers installed a successor to the late chief. According to them, the disputed chief did not belong to any of the three royal clans, Bediakuwe, Kojowe, and Sanshisakiwe.
Per the Ghana custom practice and usage, a linguist and his family cannot, and I have to emphasize this again, cannot ascend the stool or throne so that in the said Niinweti Amobi as the Manche of Apolonia show clearly that is an imposter. We, the accredited heirs, who want to set the record straight that Apolonia does not have a chief.
They accused the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Nilaye Afute Agbo, of taking sides in the chieftaincy dispute.
We want the whole world to recognize the regional minister, that the regional minister had been deeply involved with these imposters, not only in the chieftaincy, but in the sale of land as well, whereby he had directly supported them with soldiers in uniform to intimidate the entire township of Appolonia. Many have been injured in the same. We wish to bring to the attention of the presidency, the regional minister is a serious security threat to our township, and the earlier His Excellency the President removes him from office, the better for all of us. He's a red thorn in the flesh of the people of Appolonia.
Now we're trying to reach the Greater Accra Regional Minister. We will get him, and once we have him on the line, we'll get him to speak to some of the issues that the people of Appolonia are raising. But in other news, the chair of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, President John Dramani Mahama, has reiterated the sub-region's aversion to military takeovers. He was speaking in the Gambian capital, Banjul, when he made a brief stopover on his way back from Germany. The visit was to show solidarity with the Gambian leader Yahya Jammeh, who recently survived an attempted coup.
Accompanied by Vice President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Toga Gayewa McIntosh, President Mahama said his visit, though brief, was to show ECOWAS's solidarity with President Yahya Jammeh and the people of the Gambia. He told journalists it is traditional for Africans to check on one's neighbor when issues arise, hence his presence in the Gambia, adding ECOWAS protocols do not support violent overthrow of government. He reiterated the importance for all member states of ECOWAS to ensure that change of government are made through democratic means. President Mahama was received at the Banjul International Airport by the Gambian leader Yahya Jammeh, government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, hundreds of Ghanaians living in the Gambia, as well as Gambian nationals. President Mahama inspected a guard of honor mounted by the Gambian armed forces both on arrival and before his departure. The almost 3-hour stopover, according to Gambian officials, was a major step by President Mahama and ECOWAS to demonstrate its support and cooperation with member states.
Now, a class 5 pupil who was made to drop out of school to further notice is back in the classroom following an expose on his plight by Joy News' human rights show Eyes Right. Benedict Duarte and his little brother were asked to stay at home after he reported to his mother that he was not getting the needed attention from his teachers at school because they had not paid their school fees. Our host of Eyes Right, Gifty Anduapia, has the rest of the story.
In the previous report, Benedict and his siblings had been left at home processing oysters for the market when school was in session. 2 of them had not been to school the whole term, while the other 2 claimed they had permission from school to stay at home.
My teacher said, my parents think, did my parents think they are full so that they will be teaching me and my parents will not pay them the fees, so they refused to mark my work. And when I come and report to my mother said I should not go to the school again, so he will pretend me to another school.
By the school's calculations, the entire family owed over 700 cedis. Kakra Opokwe Jakwa, who would rather not appear on camera, was moved to get Benedict and his siblings back in school. He donated 1,000 Ghana cedis to clear their school debt. It was difficult to trace the family after the report aired on Eyes Right. We learned the entire family had been moved to an unknown destination. The team was, however, able to trace their whereabouts to deliver the good news. Their mother, who had a change of mind about appearing on TV after
After granting an interview on camera, said she had plans of taking them back to school, but had only encountered a few difficulties. Benedict, on the other hand, was full of gratitude.
Sister. Now the teachers will mark your work here.
Yes.
Okay, so
God bless me.
The team handed over the donation to school authorities of High Class Academy after their parents gave indications they were uninterested in the entire process at the 11th hour. Gideon Agbashi is head teacher of the school.
Thank you very much. It boils down to their parents. We would have to call their parents, talk to them, let them know what is required of them. And I think that afterwards, they should take up the responsibility of paying their fees. Even if they will not be able to pay the entire fees at a goal, I think paying the monies in bits will help than not paying anything at all. I am most grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, the team made a report at the Social Welfare Department in the Adan district for follow-up purposes and to ensure their parents live up to their responsibility of keeping them in school. Officials there say they will ensure that Benedict and his siblings enjoy their rights to education without hindrances.
Follow up to the parents so that we make sure the child go to the school. Even the radio station is also there. We'll do a radio program to educate the committee members on it. But with this problem, I'll follow up. You give me the name, the mother's name, the father's name, the where she have intended the son. We will just follow up to make sure we send the child to school. You say there are 2. We make sure they will go to school.
Eyes Right is an educative program on rights and responsibilities of citizens as enshrined in the Constitution. Kifti Andopia, Joy News, Ada, Greater Accra Region.
The newly installed Queen Mother of the Bezum traditional area in the Upper West region, Pongna Segburi Sanyo Josephine, is vying to stop the exodus of especially young girls to the south of the country in search of non-existent jobs. The Queen Mother, whose local title is in Dagare is Pongna, was speaking shortly after her installation. Upper West region correspondent Rafiq Salam was at Bezum for the occasion and reports at 8:35. Pongna Segburi Sanyo Josephine is the youngest person to hold the title in the Upper West region.
Even though the concept of Queen Mother in the traditional political system is common in Ghana, it is quite alien to the northern sector. Increasing calls for women's empowerment and growing realization of the key role women play in nation building has, however, highlighted the essence of the concept. Consequently, patriarchal societies such as the Upper West region are beginning to see the wisdom in calls by women empowerment advocates like ActionAid Ghana and the Center for Indigenous Knowledge, CICOD, for the concept to be embraced. Many of the traditional areas have since heeded to the call and installed their own with titles such as Pagna in Dagari or Hala, Kuoro in Sisala. Bezum, a farming settlement with a little over 3,000 people, located in Jinjinkwe in Nandom traditional area, also settled on 35-year-old Pagna Seburu Sanyori Josephine. Installed by the paramount queen of the Nandom traditional area, Pagna Constance, she was given a basket, calabash, ladle, and a tail of horse as a symbol of office. Division Chief of Jinjinkwe, Na Songso Ernest Tulong the first, used the occasion to call on the government to take a second look at the way lands have been given out to mining communities in the area.
The worsening situation is that government has given this land for mining
This is the Primetime News Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. Deputy Finance Minister Mona Quartey has assured Ghana will secure a program with the International Monetary Fund by next month. She also debunked reports the negotiations are delayed, insisting it is the process being followed to ensure Ghana gets a good program.
The country started negotiations for a program from the IMF last year, and there were reports Ghana was likely to secure a program with the fund by May this year, as the Bretton Woods institution required government to take steps to clean up the payroll and reduce the budget deficit substantially. Deputy Finance Minister Mona Quartey, however, says the program for Ghana could be concluded as early as February.
Well, there were two big things on the table, our level of payroll to our GDP and to debt servicing to our GDP. So that issue has been there all the time, and we are working to get that. Now, that's what we are placing emphasis on this time, a program that is got a lot of soft attributes and it's not harsh on the people, because remember, the agenda and the philosophy is that it's people first. We do have timelines. We are looking at February for the IMF to take it, the program to their board, get it signed off, and come back for us to work on. So yes, it's within that February time frame.
Mona Quartey also insists the program has not delayed as reported.
It's not delaying at all. It is on track, and we will get a program and sign on to it. It's not delaying at all. It's a matter of negotiations. We are far advanced with negotiations. I think that we should negotiate a good package. We shouldn't rush into signing for any type of package.
She maintains Ghana's 3.9% growth rate for 2015 is enviable, and that the country is on the right trajectory to attaining higher growth by 2017.
There are many countries in Europe today that are negative growth rate. So we are on the right trajectory towards getting higher growth rates by 2017. And I believe that if we all put our shoulders to the wheel and we develop the infrastructure that we need to maintain our middle income status, we can even go higher.
She reiterated government was committed to ensuring macroeconomic stability to create the atmosphere needed for the private sector to thrive. Abigail Adomakunchi for Joy News.
Several suspects, including a former president of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, have been arrested in an operation to clamp down on Singbox fraud. The former grader boss, Dr. Alex Juneba, is one of the most high-profile persons to be arrested in connection with the illicit activity where the operators reroute incoming international calls to make them appear as local calls, thereby evading the taxes due the state. The arrest on Monday by the Police Criminal Investigations Department was in collaboration with Suba Info Systems, Ghana Limited, and the National Communications Authority.
Activities of the fraudsters, according to the Minister of Communication, have assumed a nationwide trend. Hence, the need for telecommunication companies to collaborate more with government and increase their surveillance. Addressing a news conference after the arrest of the suspects, Dr. Omani Buama said government, in its bid to root out the Singbox fraudsters, is introducing the Interconnect Clearinghouse.
We are putting in place appropriate mechanisms to ensure that we make it much more difficult for the fraudsters to be able to circumvent the system, which is why we have spoken about the Interconnect Clearinghouse, which will come on stream by the end of May this year. By so doing, it will be less laborious. You may not have to be moving from town to town, corner to corner, hole to hole, in trying to locate those who are engaging in this kind of activity.
Employing the use of hundreds of local SIM cards, the fraudsters are able to reroute incoming international calls over the internet to make them appear as local calls. The country loses millions of dollars to such activities. The Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department told the news conference, all must be involved to save the country the millions that are being lost in tax revenue.
The activities of illegal Singbox operators have heightened, leading to huge financial losses to the nation in millions of US dollars every month. As a result, a joint anti-telecom fraud task force made up of detectives from the CID headquarters, officials from the National Communications Authority, officials from the various telecom service providers in Ghana, and with technical support from Suba Info Solutions Ghana Limited, embarked on a nationwide operation to clamp down on the illegal activities of SIM-box operators. In all, total revenue loss to the state is $33,592,320 US dollars.
General manager of Suba, the IT firm that provided technical assistance leading to the arrest, assured the company will continue to do its bit to ensure the fraudsters are exposed.
As long as we can provide technology to make the SIM boxes dysfunctional, the operations are curtailed. And so we're even not looking at the individuals behind it. We're looking at how capable and how we are able to speedily dysfunction the SIM cards that are actively engaged in SIM boxing. The clearinghouse will give a broad overview to the regulator. It would benefit the nation. The country will be able to plug completely the loopholes where revenue is leaking. The operators are going to benefit. Their revenues are going to be secured. And so it's a complete win-win situation.
Dr. Alex Chineboa, one of the 18 suspects arrested, was until 2012 the president of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association. 5 of the suspects were foreigners. They are all facing charges of illegal termination of calls.
Well, the chief executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications says government will do a much better job at plugging the loophole with SIM-box fraud if it readjusts or takes another look at the pricing of calls.
Now, SIM-boxing is not a technical problem. SIM-boxing is not a law and order problem. SIM-boxing is a pricing problem.
I see.
So let me compare it to cocoa smuggling, for example. If you pay $80 a kilo for cocoa to cocoa farmers in Ghana, for example, and in the Ivory Coast they are paying, say, $100 a kilo, you create an incentive for smuggling of cocoa from Ghana to the Ivory Coast. Even if you form task forces and they are able to make some arrests, they will not be able to stop all the smugglers. So the cure for that is to pay as close to what the Ivorians are paying, or indeed to pay more than they are paying.
Right.
And if you pay more than they are paying, you can in fact have reverse smuggling. The Ivorians will start bringing their cocoa to Ghana. It's a pricing problem.
So let's compare the analogy to yeah.
Sorry, go on. Yes.
No, you go on, sir.
All right. So, for example, in Nigeria, there is no cocoa. Excuse me. There is no SIM boxing in Nigeria. There is no SIM boxing in South Africa. Wherever the gap between what the industry industry arbitrage, wherever there is little or no incentive for SIM boxing, there is no SIM boxing. So, for example, in South Africa, the cost of an international call into South Africa is the equivalent of 3 US cents. The cost of a domestic call is the equivalent of 3 US cents. There is no incentive for SIM boxing, therefore there is no SIM boxing. In Nigeria, the cost of an incoming call into Nigeria is 3 US cents.
Now, returning to our earlier story where the elders and people of Apolonia community under the Katamanso Assembly here in the Greater Accra region are making some allegations are leveling some allegations against the regional minister who, amongst them, they accuse of interfering in an ongoing chieftaincy dispute in the area. We do have the Greater Accra Regional Minister on the line now to get to speak to him. Good evening to you, Nilaya Futagbo.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Now, I'm sure you've come across this, or you've heard these allegations being made by the people of Apollonia. One,
I heard it whilst I was touring the area.
Okay, so they took.
Whilst I was with the chief of Apollonia, the gazetted chief of Apollonia. So I think it was a surprise to me when I heard that some people are, the chiefs and the people of Apollonia are leveling some allegations against me. I think it's time for you as the press to also move out of your offices to go and then find out who is the chief of Apollonia, or even call the regional House of Chiefs and the national House of Chiefs, where chieftaincy issues are dealt with, so that at least you also be addressed with this kind of crap. Because I'm not the only one who should be explaining these things all the time. It's also to help us. And the regional minister, luckily I was born in the area and I've lived in the area throughout my lifetime. And I've always said and said it again, that with my position, I'm not holding it in trust for myself, not for even my family members and friends. These are people I've lived with in the same room in America. These are people I've eaten with in the same bowl. Does it mean that if I'm in a position and my friends are behaving against 99% of the people of Apollonia, I should stand by them, being the principled man that I am, being the shepherd person that I am, somebody who believes in the rule of law? I would never stand by anybody, not even my father or my mother, if they don't believe in rule of law.
Now,
my brother, this should also step out.
Yeah,
This issue has not even come to my level. This is a decision taken by DISEC at a district level. If it has come to the level of the region, we would have taken maybe a stronger decision than what the district even took. So please, I have been with the chiefs and people of Apollonia this afternoon. These are people who are disgruntled. They are not in good with the paramount chief of the area. They are not agreeing with the chief executive of the district. They are not agreeing with the people, 99% people of Apollonia. What do we have to do?
All right, now they're claiming, they're saying.
Stop the audience. I will never be moved an inch with their actions, because I am in my position to serve the good people of this country, not disgruntled people and people who do not believe in the rule of law.
Now, they're saying that the supposed chief you're talking about, who you say has been gazetted, they're saying that they didn't know how he came to be gazetted.
You know, I'm the member of parliament for the area. These people have gone to all the courts in this country. They've gone to the civil courts. They've gone to all the judicial courts that we have in this country, up to national level. And it has gone against them. And now,
okay. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Regional Minister. Unfortunately, your line 2 is failing us, so we would end the conversation here. But thank you very much for joining us. We're taking a break. We'll be back with the business. Do stay tuned.
Time now to do some business reports with me, Abigail Adomakoinchi, and we'll start with something on electronic commerce, where players in the e-commerce sector are asking Ghanaians to embrace the industry to increase sales and internet penetration for economic development. Well, e-commerce firms contend they continue to have difficulties breaking through with logistics, particularly in dealing with postcodes and street names that are non-existent in the country.
Although electronic commerce is a global trend, Statistica.com says Africa accounts only for 2.1% of global business-to-consumer e-commerce sales, representing a 31% growth in global share since 2011, an indication that the African market is very far from being saturated. In Ghana, however, several online markets have sprung up, offering exciting products online. But managers say winning the trust of citizens remains a key challenge.
So one of the top questions by far that we get from buyers is, where is your shop? Right, so they see us online, they see our ads, and they ask, where is your shop? And we say, no, we do not have a shop. Right, we're an online marketplace, and we do that education day in, day out. Right, so I think that there is still some work to be done, because every day, and the number hasn't stopped, but as they learn this, people come and they try the platform and then they tell their friends. So that is one big thing that we are doing on the buyer front, educating both buyers on the fact that we are an online marketplace, and then sellers on the kind of expectations they should have. Because when you go and try to deliver an item to a buyer the first time and they are not there, you don't just take it back. You have to try again, and maybe a third time before you send it back. And our sellers are learning that, with e-commerce, you have to be patient. The cash cycle may not be as quick as being in the actual marketplace, but the long-term benefits are spectacular.
First and foremost, educate yourself. Secondly, you need to decide, you need to do your own due diligence. For everybody, there's a certain level, I mentioned this before, certain obstacles you have to climb or pass in order to seem trusted. So when you call that agent, ask them questions up front. Make sure that, that agent understands that they can't take you for a ride. Make sure that the agent understands that you don't want to see properties you're not interested in. You want to see the properties that maybe you saw in the Moody, or you're interested in this and this, and you're not interested in anything else. So, first and foremost, educate yourself, right? Be consistent about interacting with the agent. Don't allow that agent any leeway. And then finally, do your additional due diligence, right? You can visit particular government agencies to get more feedback. You can see the ratings online about other people and how they interacted with them. You can also ask for testimonials from other clients from that particular agent as well.
Logistics for prompt delivery is yet another challenge for the sector.
As we all know, in Ghana, you don't have postcodes, street names are not that apparent yet. So what we actually do is we use certain apps that can actually track where you are up to 7 meters. We educate our riders how to use a smartphone, how to use apps, and how to use navigation, and they can navigate exactly to the point where you are. And we can track exactly where they are at the moment. So there's a lot of technology we are implementing just to make our services the best available in Ghana and to overcome all the challenges that there currently are. And we really hope that we are opening doors for many other internet businesses to grow in Ghana as well.
The managers of these emerging e-commerce firms in Ghana are among those representing the country on the Africa Internet Group, AIG. They have therefore been engaging some stakeholders in Accra to educate them more on the industry and the opportunities they present to their patrons.
Away from e-commerce, the board chairman of the WA Workers Cooperative Credit Union is worried the proliferation of micro-investment companies is threatening the survival of credit unions such as his. Speaking at the 9th annual general meeting of the union in WA, Peter Mombo said most of their members are withdrawing their funds to go and chase attractive interest being offered by the microfinance firms. A report by Rafiq Salam from WA.
The annual general meeting of the WA Brokers Cooperative Credit Union was held on the theme Local Services, Global Good. Customers of the credit union and their partners were briefed about the union's accounts over the past year and future plans.
We do apologize for the loss of sound there, but that will be it for business. I'm Abigail Adumakwenchi. Do stay on for sports.
Up to Ghana's game against South Africa tomorrow. That is the final Group C game. And of course, Black Stars defender Harrison Afful expects a tough game against South Africa in the final Group C clash tomorrow. Ghana will qualify for the quarterfinals of the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations with a win over Bafana after reviving its campaign at the tournament with the last gap winner over Algeria last Friday. The improved team cohesion under new coach Avram Grant will, however, be put to another stand test, and defender Harrison Afful admits it's going to be tough.
We're mentally strong and we're physically strong as well, so we just prepared, and then we hope everything will go well. South Africans are a very good side, like us. They play good football, and we've played against them a couple of times. So I think this game will be an interesting game, and it's not going to be easy for us because they're more like they also want to play football. As we Ghanaians, we also want to play football. So we're going to have a lot of meetings, and then we'll talk to ourselves, and then we'll make sure we'll deliver. But who knows? You can never predict football, so we just hope we'll get the day. The day will be on our side, and then we'll deliver for Ghanaians.
And still, really, on that build-up to the Ghana-South Africa game, we can talk about Mohamed Polo, who was a member of the 1978 Africa Cup of Nations winning squad, and he is preaching caution ahead of this game.
If we become complacent that because Algeria are beating South Africa, so and we are beating Algeria, so it means it's a done deal. No, every game with this approach. Every game with this approach, with the seriousness and with the respect to the other team. South Africa is a force to reckon team coming up. They lost in a better way. They lost, respectably. They didn't lose by playing very bad. They lost because they were unlucky. They scored the first goal, and they had a penalty and lost it. You understand? And they scored their own goal. They scored their own goal to give the. So I mean, it's not over yet till it's over. So the Black Stars should know that the last game is very, very important because South Africa too has a chance to qualify. And don't forget, it's South Africa in the qualifying. They stop Nigeria from qualifying. It shouldn't be complacent. Otherwise, it will be a different game altogether.
More on the Black Stars when we talk about another ex-Ghana international, Mohamed Gago, who was a fantastic midfielder for us. He says that we have to keep our heads up playing against South Africa.
Well, I see Ghana winning again, but it's not going to be easy though. I actually like the character we put on their last match. I mean, if we should continue that, I think we'll be beating South Africa. I was only not a little bit happy with the initiative, the way we started the campaign, playing 3-5-2. I mean, Ghana, we are not used to playing that kind of formation. So I think probably the coach has realized that we need to come back to play our old system that we played against Algeria. So I think we'll be winning our last match tomorrow.
Now to bring you the updates on what's happening in the African Cup of Nations. Games in Group B played simultaneously just ended. Tunisia and DR Congo have qualified to the next stage after they drew 1-1. Cape Verde and Zambia drew goalless. Both teams are out of this. Let's now have a look at the highlights from the games.
Top of the shoulder there from Chikawi.
Yeah, using his strength there to force the turnover. Feeling for the foul, but there wasn't one. Rightly so. Mbemba just running himself into trouble. But we haven't had any goals.
Akaichi was miles off as he goes into the arms of his coach, George Lekens. The Belgian would be delighted, but the Congolese around in bemusement as we see Akaichi finding the day again. We'll see it from here. Box, the initial phase of play, lovely footwork again.
No, in fact, he was just onside. I got it wrong. He was in line with the defender. Great work from the big number 9. Chakoui, the captain, and setting up the goal. And Tunisia have got their noses in front. Well, I did say there might be a goal, and we certainly got one.
All right, so that's exactly what happened there. We know that Tunisia and DR Congo have joined the likes of Equatorial Guinea and Congo into the next stage of the competition. We'll find out what the Black Stars do. That'll be all for sports tonight. I'm George Addo Jr. Israel will join us with some more. You have a good night.
The music industry should be churning out quite a number of hit songs this year if promises by artists are anything to go by. Hip life artists Tic Tac and Cocovelli, for instance, say they intend to stage comebacks with massive tracks this year.
2015 is still pretty new, and so lots of people still have their targets and expectation on the high side. The music industry especially is getting more promises from industry players, as most of them say the year will be a music quality year. Speaking to some old faces in the hip life genre last Saturday at the Excel Lounge, during musician Tiny's The Red Cup Party, they all talk about the exciting additions they are bringing on board as they plan their comeback.
I have a new one planning coming out next month, so they should just watch out for it. It's almost done. Thinking about the video, and then we release the video before the audience.
What's the title of the album?
I haven't really thought about it yet, but when everything is done, then I think about the title. Yeah.
So we are looking forward to you coming back and staying forever.
Exactly. For the staying, you have no problem, because I'm not going to go back anymore. I'm tired, right? I'm stuck.
I also want to tell Ghanaians that music is not race. One man cannot be on top for so long, over decades, you know, but it's about how you make it in the end. So I just want to tell them that they should watch out for my 7th album, the long-awaited 7th album, with solid hit singles. All my fans in GH, I got you. I love you all.
Having stayed off active music for a while now, these hip life artists say the current hip life trend is no competition for them, and perhaps they have the best style ever, asking Ghanaians to just be on the lookout.
That'll be all for showbiz. That's it for the bulletin, but before we go a quick run through our top stories. Several suspects have been picked up in a Simbok fraud, including the former president of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association. President Mahama has reiterated the sub-region's intolerance for military takeovers during a stopover in Gambia. The Deputy Finance Minister says Ghana should conclude a package with the International Monetary Fund by next month, a few months earlier than had been anticipated. And the Upper West Region's youngest Queen Mother has vowed to end the rural-urban drift of young girls from the region. That'll be all for the bulletin. My name is Israel. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good evening.